Welcome back to the programme. Now, think American sport, and I suspect one of these that is going to come up behind me is what you immediately springs to mind, either baseball or American football, but it is ingrained in the DNA of the nation. So my next guests are trying to break that mould. They're the stars of USA Rugby Sevens team. America hosts the World Cup in San Francisco in July. Well, they're waiting to talk to me the other side of the studio. A documentary is being filmed about the team in the build-up to that tournament, which is being described as make or break for the sport. Have a look.
Sevens is the door upon which we can grow the game in America.
It's just all about inspiring and being able to help others, so that's why I do it.
Kerry Baker, nice and high, the athlete. Look at that slow-mo, says it all. Look at the pops he's got.
We're a start-up company. We're like the apple in the garage, and that's what they love, because then they love to see the beast it becomes.
Come on, come on.
In general, no one really knows who we are, like literally no one.
I love that. Well, here in the studio is the USA Sevens captain, Madison Hughes, the player Carlin and coach Mike Friday. Thanks all of you for being here on the programme. Madison, let me start with you, and that bit at the end, anonymous. I mean, is that really the case? If you walk down the street in the States, no one really knows who you are?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think I can count on the one hand the number of times I've been recognized in public. At rugby events in the US, it's slightly different. There's definitely a cult following for rugby, and when you go to those rugby events, people get really excited about it, really engaged in the sport. But in general, we're pretty anonymous.
Carlin, I mean, the obvious question, I mean, why don't you play American football? I mean, you are the fastest rugby player there is on this planet, aren't you?
Yeah. And it's a blessing. But man, I grew up playing football, and once I got my hands on a rugby ball, oh my God, it was no sport like it. And I was like, man, why didn't I discover this earlier in my life? And I think when I was younger, somebody mentioned rugby, but I'm like, get my teeth knocked out? Nah, I'm cool. So I just stuck with football and track. And once I really got involved in rugby, oh my God, it's a phenomenal sport.
And just tell our viewers how fast you are. If you did 100 metres, what is it? Because I read an extraordinary stat on you a little earlier.
Yeah, 100 metres is 10.13. So
that would have got you to the semi-finals at London 2012, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mike, I mean, how good are this lot? I mean, you've got such coaching pedigree, England in the past, Kenya in the past. I mean, how good are these guys?
They're great. I mean, they're exceptional rugby players. They're exceptional athletes, and that's what you talk about in the American sporting landscape, athletes. But what these guys have worked extremely hard on and had to catch up quickly is that rugby EQ, that rugby intelligence that we take for granted in the kind of everyday rugby fraternity between the ages of 12 and 18, where these guys are playing football, they're playing basketball, they're playing baseball, they're on track and field.
So which bits don't they know then, in terms of that sort of just being in the DNA? We're talking about DNA
it's
of American
just
football. Being
able to make the rugby decisions, the open decision making, and recognise what's in front of you and do that on the hoof. And that comes with experience and repetition in those golden years of 12 to 18 when you're at your height of your learning. And in our country, in the country of the UK or New Zealand, where it's kind of part of their DNA, they're exposed to it. The boys have had to work hard at that, and you know, that's the area. If we can position the sport, and that's the opportunity for these guys to be role models, to position the sport in the high schools and be that credible alternative, then we're on to
Well,
something.
I'll come back to that in a moment, but Carlin, you touched on it in terms of, well, you know, why didn't I discover this earlier? There was another bit in your video where one of your teammates says, you know, if you're playing in American football, you can make diagonal runs, but, you know, when you play rugby, everyone's a quarterback. That's how he described it, and this is what we play in the backyard. Is that how it was with you, just a freedom almost with this form of rugby?
Yeah, it's a freedom. It's an open field. I mean, it's a lot of decision making on the fly. But you really get to go out there and just be you and be yourself, just like you're playing backyard football. And that's one thing that in football and the other sport, it's programmed. You got to run this route. You have to do this. And then in rugby, it's kind of not like that. You're able to express yourself and play freely.
Madison, how did you get into it? Because, I mean, you've gone on, you've been to the Olympics, you captain USA, you know, you'll cap them into the World Cup. I mean, that's an extraordinary turn of events. How did you first start?
So I grew up in England, so that was where I got my start. And I mean, it's really different for every guy on the team. Like, we got guys who started playing in college, so between the ages of 18 to 22, guys who started later. I was lucky, I started at 7, so I've been playing my whole life. But for guys like Carlin, I think you started at like 23, so something like that. So a lot of guys who've picked it up later, and I think it's, as Mike said, you've got to work harder at that stage to gain the rugby intelligence and that decision-making ability.
You've got the World Cup coming up, but before we talk about that, I just want to play another clip from that documentary that is being spliced together in the build-up to that tournament. Have a look at this.
I mean, we won a cup before. That's never been done. You know, we made it to the Olympic Games when we wasn't even supposed to be there. Like I said, if we win the World Cup, it'll be phenomenal. Like, what is there for the USA Sevens Eagles team to do that they said we couldn't do?
Barrett says, see you later.
See you later, Mike. In the blurb for the documentary, it says the Sevens team have one more roll of the dice. Success in the World Cup and the sport could rocket into the mainstream, fail, and it may be the last chance in terms of a generation that might not come again. I mean, is it that stark, do you think?
It's probably not that dramatic, but I think what we have this summer is a real opportunity to bring the sport to the forefront in America. You know, first time on American soil, a World Rugby event, and we'll be one of the form teams. We've got a chance, we've got an opportunity in the American sporting landscape. In America, they love winners, and the Olympics is close to the heart of the sporting landscape. And I think, again, that ticks a big box for the sporting public. That, again, if we can position it and get it to build and grow, then that opens the door globally for the likes of China, who often follow America on those type of Olympic platforms, to then make this game truly global and reposition Sevens and the game of rugby.
Try and get it into schools. Carlin, have you let yourself think and dream what it would be like to actually win this thing back home on home soil?
I mean, yeah, I do. And I think we get a taste of it a little bit, like when we won Vegas. So we kind of know what the feeling is. It's about now just trying to execute and trying to bring that feeling back over and over again.
Madison, I just want to put it into perspective. Just remind me what you guys earn and what a quarterback would earn. Remind me how many people turn up to watch you, how many people turn up to fill, say, the Eagles stadium. Give me a real sense of what it's like on the ground.
I mean, in terms of numbers, it's just not even close. I mean, those guys earning millions upon millions of dollars a year, having hundreds of thousands of people come out and watch them. And I mean, we get big crowds sometimes, us and 16 other teams, hoping to fill Twickenham this weekend, so that'll be fun. But I mean, in terms of the difference between what those NFL guys, MLB, those guys are earning, it's different stratosphere.
You can dream. You can dream of winning and dream of perhaps changing the backdrop.
One day, maybe. One day. That's what we're trying to be pioneers for everyone else.
Can I come back, Carlin, just a final thought, because, of course, with American football, you've had this whole controversy around the national anthem and kneeling. You've got new rules going to come in, which is preventing players actually kneel on the pitch during the national anthem for the season ahead, and talks of boycotts. I mean, what do you think of the new rules, and what do you guys do?
So for us as a team, man, we're just all about, you know, our pride and wearing our jersey and what we stand for as a group, as a team. And so when we really don't nail or worry about all the outside distractions, but we're about what we can control and why we're stepping on that field. And we step in the forward for the U.S. and we're stepping on there for ourselves. So it's more than what people are making it out to be. It's all about perspective, and we have our own perspective. So when we stand and we're in that final and we're holding each other, we know that, man, we're doing this for the USA and we're doing it for each other, because it takes a brotherhood to make something great.
Madison, just a quick final thought, because Mike earlier saying you hope to get it into schools. For youngsters you come across, I mean, how keen are they? You know, there's no gear, you just get out there, you play. How keen are they in this game?
I mean, I think so keen, and it's been really fun to play with kids and see more and more American youths getting into rugby, being exposed to it at an earlier age. And I think, as Carlin mentioned earlier, when people get on the field and they're like, wow, I get to run with the ball and make tackles and make decisions, like, it's all the best parts of all the different sports people play in the US, all blend into one and crushed together and kind of thrown out and given for everyone to enjoy.
Well, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to all three of you. Thank you so much for coming in, and good luck in that World Cup in July when it comes up.